Ah, this. Okay, so I already did this before, but the video, the bot disappeared because YouTube is like that. I started to understand that if the string title is the same as the last stream, then the string, the bot is just gonna disappear. It's not gonna be uploaded for some reason. Anyways, um, I'm not actually gonna play the game. This is something I was thinking, and yesterday I forgot to say. Basically, it's very common that when someone has a belief of, let's say, I'm not gonna pretend to not know what is said in that game because I mean the beat is over, the fun is over, okay? But when people have this belief that people who are that if you have a cock, that means you are a man and you can't be a woman, which is exactly what it's not exactly what they said, but that's pretty much what they said. It says something like, uh, "Oh, if you have a cock, you can be a woman," something like that. I don't really agree with that, but I also don't care. And it's easy to not care because I'm not the one that is talking about. But it's easy to think that whenever someone has a belief like that they hate you or something, when the reality is that it's not that they hate you, they just think you are doing something wrong. It's like someone eating pineapple on pizza. Some people do hate you for that, but not everyone with that belief is gonna hate you for that. And I feel like that's something you don't really have to say. Like I don't have to say this, but I feel like saying it because when people talk about him, people sometimes don't dislike him because he thinks it's wrong. People dislike him because they believe he hates them. And that's the kind of image that is being portrayed of him. That he hates these people and whatever that he I don't know how to emphasize it more, but it's more like a feeling of a major threat, a big enemy. This guy that hates you very much and wishes you didn't exist when in reality that's not really how religions and cultures work. I mean, some of them do encourage hate, but I feel like it's hard to tell, but I feel like it doesn't actually hate. I feel like it would be a lot more blatant if what he believed was if he believed that it was hate, that he will actually be more open about this. He will actually express it. You will notice because he will try to avoid anyone that's transgender, but it doesn't. At least I don't think it avoids transgender people. I feel like that's something very easy to tell, but yeah, it's not that kind of person. It doesn't actually hate. It just disagrees. Um, I went on a whole rant too about how the approach of these people who are trying to fix the problem, I guess. The approach of these people who want like more positivity, they want a world where there's less hate and transgender people can coexist and this and that. I think that approach doesn't work when what you're doing is just encouraging hate. Is that what I said? I said it. Hold on, let me think of what I'm saying. Because I said it so much better. I was actually in a better mood, but right now it's like I'm gonna go to sleep soon. So yeah, I was also supposed to play something, but I was just like very distracted about things, many things I have to do. Like people, the approach they take is to divide and say the platform do not interact, everyone hate on this guy, harass him, let's say a bunch of bad things about him, nothing he makes is good and whatever. And if he says that he doesn't like it, that means he hates you. He hates you and doesn't want you to be alive. He wants you to die or something like that. He wants you to suffer, he wants you to go away or something. And that approach doesn't really work because the reality is that if you're not gonna kill your enemy, and this is the way you're gonna picture your enemy, then he's always going to be there. And you're not gonna kill him. You're not gonna make a terrorist group that's gonna focus on finding everyone that's transphobic and start killing them. I think it's very silly and way too many people follow this approach. If someone disagrees with this, if someone doesn't think that being trans is a real thing, and you actually care about it, then how is it a solution to just the platform and hate and keep someone away? Like, that doesn't do anything. You're still making gains. If you get him banned, someone can easily just create a new account and silence him. Like, nothing like that is gonna work. People are always gonna have a place where they can talk about how much they hate the trans people, or at least how they don't agree with it. You don't have cameras everywhere. This like people. Isn't being a Nazi much worse than this? And people are still able to be a Nazi, which is lengths higher than just considering Nazism, fascism. It doesn't make sense. What I'm trying to get to is that the only solution there is for, if you see someone that doesn't agree with that, is that, and you really care about this, is that you try to convince them that they're wrong. And if you're not gonna do that, then, well, whatever, man. But like, that's the only way. Just convince it. It's just common sense. If someone doesn't agree with this, and that's something that you really care about, like, are you really gonna just pull out a gun and kill them? Are you gonna say, I hate them, and spend hours of your life just talking about them? Hate is a form of love. Like, you have to be careful. Do you actually want to date someone that hates you for who you are? You have to be careful. Because you might end up sleeping with this guy. Oh man, I get silly very easily. Well, yeah, it's just a very logical approach. Something else I said on the bot that was just not going is that it's not possible to convince him after all of that. Like, it's just very obvious that anything he says is gonna be used against him. So I really doubt that you can even engage with him in a conversation about that. Like, he's not gonna trust you. He's not gonna trust anyone. I don't actually know him, but I will assume, like, if he was me, if I was him, I wouldn't trust anybody. Anyone in that position would not trust anybody. To be honest with them. To just not try to just manipulate or try to take things out of context. Maybe you should become a very close to friend to him that he can open up about it. And maybe you guys can talk about it, but I doubt it. You're not gonna do that. No one's gonna do that. It's just one of many silly things that there are about the internet. I think that's all I had to say, but I really... Maybe I will upload the things I said originally, because I said it with emotion, it had better delivery. Maybe it was less clear. I feel like I was a lot more clear and concise here. But The original video, the one that didn't get uploaded on YouTube because YouTube has to be so annoying and stupid. The original just had more energy. It was nicer to watch. This is just as long, actually. Wow, 10 minutes just flew by, just like that. Man, I was just looking at the wallet and I turned around to look at OBS and wow, 10 minutes already. I also say something more about the platforming. I'm banning people who do bad things and yeah, that's the part I'm gonna cut off because at least I have the video of it, so I might upload that video. But there is a part I need to cut off because that part is kind of I basically said things without actually knowing. This is something else, like just trying to think of banning and deplatforming on situations besides cancel culture or things like that. Like people actually doing something bad. Like, yeah, I feel like I spoke out of turn there. Good thing that's not online, I guess. But yeah, I'll try. Maybe later I can upload the video, just edit it without that section because I really didn't have my thoughts collected. Like I have no idea on that, but at least I have an idea on this. And this is simply not a solution. It's just very stupid. Oh, I forgot to say that the only reason I am even talking about this is that when I look at his profile today, he still has people today. It's been like maybe more than 4 years, and he's still getting all of that hate. Like and the person that's giving him hate, the earliest I could find, the one in his profile, it was someone that said, "Oh, you hate me. This person is very hateful, and he hates me." Like, when it just doesn't hate you. It's so simple. It's such a narrow-minded and divisive way to think. It's so close-minded. It goes against everything this generation really believes because for in order for this new age to work where people are more open about their sexuality and whatever, the only reason that worked and the only reason all of that works is because people became more open-minded. To assume that someone that simply doesn't agree with those ideas, to assume that person is close-minded, is making you close-minded. It's so silly. It's very silly. So yeah, like, come on, man. Why do we have to be the silly over here? Why? It's very silly indeed. Very silly. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I have to say. But as usual, I just stay here thinking about did I forget something, blah blah blah. It's kind of like how do I end this? What if I when I end it there's something else I want to say? Yeah. This is what you write everything. But I feel like even if I brought everything at the end, I would be like that. It's so silly, dude. So silly of me. Alright. I personally do not care about people being hateful. Actually, no, I mean, I have been in that position where I was hated for who I am, for my identity. I remember this girl hated men. I was not offended. It's never personal. Actually, let me make an argument as to why you should stop being so emotional and offended over this, like you're acting like you're being persecuted. And maybe this is not the same, but let's say it's the same for the sake of the argument, because maybe it is. Maybe. It's obviously not the same if you live in a country where you are persecuted because of it. Anyways, as someone who has talked to someone that hates men, When she told me that she doesn't trust me because I am a man, and like I am evil and all men are the same or whatever, I didn't feel offended. I'm sure it's very hard for me to be offended about anything. And people think I am weird because I don't get sad or offended when they say things to my face, and sometimes I kind of find it funny, but that's not me being badass. I actually just that's besides the point. It's gonna get way too outside of the topic if I talk about that. Anyways, I don't get offended. Let me tell you why. Because it's not something that doesn't have an explanation. I don't get offended because I know that she doesn't actually hate me. Even if she says, okay, well, she hates me. But technically, she doesn't hate me. She hates men. So what she really hates is the idea of men or whatever gave her this idea. That's my first interpretation. I feel like when someone insults you, it's because of your identity or your job. They are quick to take it as an offense or as something personal, when in a lot of cases it's really not personal. Even if it's directed at you, it's never personal. And it's so easy to know because they don't know what they're talking about. If they don't know what they're talking about and they don't know you, why be offended? You shouldn't be offended. It's simply just someone with their own issues or whatever. So that's my case. Like, maybe that doesn't help you not be offended. If you're offended, if that makes you uncomfortable and you're not okay with that, that's okay. But just entertain the idea that maybe you shouldn't be offended. Maybe it's not personal and it's not about you. If someone hates people who are transgender, maybe they don't actually hate you. Maybe they're not gonna do anything bad to you. Maybe they really only hate this one person they met that was transgender. Or maybe they only hate the ideas that conspiracy theories give them. There's a lot of maybes and a lot of answers we don't have. So yeah, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Seriously, like, it can be anything. Oh, are you like, some people will hate you for your religion too. Like, should you really be offended? Dude, people will be offended about me talking about religions, because sometimes when I look at the religion, actually I'm not gonna say that, but there's things I say that are offensive about the religions because I actually believe them. But you shouldn't be offended because the reality is I'm not even trying to hate you for it. I'm trying to say something bad about that religion itself, not about you. It's never about you. And that's true for a lot of people. Like, if it was about you, then you had to have done something. And sometimes some people hate you so much that they want to kill you. But they still not because of you, because they don't actually hate you. They just hate something that you are or the idea of it. But they don't actually know you. And because they don't actually know you, they don't actually hate you. Does that make sense? Or do I have to say in some way that's more clear? Because I feel like the way I am saying it sounds silly because it kind of sounds like the same thing. Like, oh, my identity is me. The religion is me or this. But no, you are not the religion or the identity. When I say that they don't actually hate you, I mean that they don't actually know you. You have things you like, things you do, your actions, personality, and so many things about you. So many things that define you. They don't know any of that. The things that they are hating is so superficial. It's just an idea. It's not personal. You didn't do this or that. It's like hating cheese. It's like hating computers. It's like someone saying that I hate computers and I'm thinking that they're saying I hate your computer and your computer sucks. No, they hate computers in general. So if you are still offended, alright, it makes sense. It really makes a lot of sense. But really consider not being offended, because maybe, just maybe, Maybe you shouldn't be. Just maybe. Because maybe it's just not personal at all. But yeah. There's many cases where I say that I am this way and I think you should try to think the same way that I am. People don't agree to do that, or people don't get it, or something like that. So that's why I'm not gonna tell you that you have to be like me. You don't have to agree with me. We don't have to be the same. I am who I am, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to be like me. Sometimes being like me has consequences. Nothing that doesn't have consequences, and nothing that's perfect. There's pros and cons to everything. That's kind of why I have a weird belief where we need evil people in the world. We need people who do bad things. It just makes everything work. It keeps everything interesting. It's kind of weird to think, maybe, but yeah. Alright. That's all I have to say, I guess. See ya. Just think of this the credit scene.